Part 1. Introduction. In the far north of Europe lies a country shaped by ice, sea, and time. A land where mountains plunge dramatically into deep blue waters, where ancient glaciers carved valleys that would later become some of the most breathtaking coastlines on Earth. This is Norway, a nation known for its wild landscapes, rich maritime history, and powerful connection to the nature. Stretching along the rugged western edge of Karaneva, Norway is a country defined by geography. Its coastline, one of the longest in the world, twists and turns for thousands of kilometers along the cold waters of the Norwegian Sea and the North Atlantic. Here, towering cliffs arise above the ocean, waterfalls tumble down steep mountain walls, and deep fjords cut far inland like natural corridors through the mountains. These fjords, carved by massive glaciers during the last ice age, and among the most iconic landscapes on Earth. In places, the mountains rise more than 1,000 meters above the water, creating sceneries of breathtaking scale and beauty. But Norway is more than just dramatic coastlines. Beyond the fjords lie vast forests, alpine plateaus, and snow-covered peaks that stretch across the Scandinavian mountain. In the far north, above the Arctic Circle, the landscapes transform once again. Here, winter nights are illuminated by one of nature's most extraordinary phenomena, the shimmering colors of the Aurora Borealis dancing across the Arctic sky. For thousands of years, the people of Norway have lived alongside these powerful natural forces. The country's history is deeply connected to the sea and the spirit of exploration. Long before modern map existed, Norse sailors, known as the Viking, ventured across the oceans in wooden longships, discovering distant lands and shaping the history of Europe. Their legacy still echoes through Norwegian culture today. From ancient Viking traditions to modern Scandinavian design, Norway blends a deep respect for history with a forward-looking vision of the future. Today, this remarkable country is known not only for its natural beauty, but also for its vibrant cities, innovative culture, and strong commitment to protecting the landscapes that define its identity. From the bustling streets of Oslo, the remote Arctic wilderness, Norway offers a journey through some of the most extraordinary environments on our planet. And we will travel through its mountain, fjords, islands, and northern skies. And we will discover why Norway is often considered one of the most spectacular countries in the world. Part 2. Geirangerfjord. Few landscapes in the world capture the dramatic beauty of Norway like Geirangerfjord. Hidden deep within the rugged mountains of western Norway, this fjord is often considered one of the most spectacular natural wonders in all Scandinavia. Carved by glaciers thousands of years ago, Geirangerfjord stretches for nearly 15 kilometers through towering cliffs, emerald waters, and cascading waterfalls. It is a landscape that feels both immense and intimate at the same time. The fjord itself forms part of the larger West Norwegian Fjord, a region recognized by UNESCO for its exceptional natural beauty. Here, the mountains rise dramatically from the water edge, sometimes soaring more than 1,000 meters into the sky. Along the steep cliffs, waterfalls pour down like silver ribbons. Among the most famous are the legendary Seven Sisters waterfall and the nearby Sweeter waterfall. According to local folklore, the Seven Sisters represent 7 graceful maidens dancing along the mountainside, while the Sweeter waterfall across the fjord eternally tries to court them. These natural features are not just geologically famous formations. They have become part of the Norway storytelling tradition. Throughout history, small farming communities managed to survive on narrow terrains carved into the steep mountainside. These remote farms were often accessible only by boat or steep mountain trails, yet generations of families lived here, cultivated the land in one of Europe's most challenging environments. Today, some of these abandoned farms remain visible along the cliffs, offering a glimpse into a way of life shaped entirely by the landscape. One of the most remarkable viewpoints of overlooking the fjords on a Vingan, often called the Eagle Road. From this winding mountain road, visitors can see the fjords stretching far below, with waterfalls tumbling down the cliffs and cruise ships appearing tiny against the vastness of nature. Another breathtaking panorama can be found at Das Nibla, a high mountain lookout rising more than 1,500 meters above the sea level. From here, the view extends across snow-covered peaks, glaciers, and the deep blue waters in the fjord far below. Yet the true magic of Geirangerfjord is often experienced from the water itself. Gliding slightly through the fjord by boat reveals the immense scale of the landscape. The cliffs tower overhead, waterfalls echo across the valley, and the stillness of the water reflects the mountain like a mirror. In moments like this, it becomes clearly why Norway's fjords have inspired travelers, artists, and explorers for centuries. Geirangerfjord is not simply a destination, it is a place where geology, history, and natural beauty comes together in a way that feels almost harmless. And for many visitors, this extraordinary fjord becomes the moment when they truly understand the powerful relationship between Norway and the landscapes that define it. Because in Norway, nature is not just scenery, it is the heart of the country itself. Part 3. Lofoten Islands. Far above the Arctic Circle lies one of the most visually striking landscapes in all of Norway, the breathtaking Lofoten Islands. Stretching out into the cold waters of the Norwegian Sea, the dramatic archipelago is famous for its jagged mountain peaks, crystal clear fjords, and picturesque fishing villages. Despite its remote location, the Lofoten Islands have become one of Norway's most beloved destinations. Known for landscapes that seem almost unreal in their beauty, what makes Lofoten so extraordinary is the way nature and human life blend seamlessly together. Towering granite mountains rise directly from the sea, creating a dramatic backdrop for small coastal communities that have existed here for centuries. Many of the islands are connected by bridges and scenic roads, making it possible to travel through its spectacular region while constantly surrounded by oceans and mountains. One of the most iconic villages in Lofoten is Reen, often considered one of the most beautiful fishing villages in the world. Here, traditional red fisherman cabins, known as robur, stand on the wooden sills and above the water, framed by steep mountain peaks and quiet fjords. Walking through Reen feels like stepping into a living postcard. Nearby lies the charming village Hamoy, where a small bridge offers one of the most photographed views in Scandinavia. From this vantage point, rows of red cabins reflect in the calm water, while snow-covered mountains rise dramatically behind them. But Lofoten is more than just beautifully scenery. For over 1,000 years, fishing has shaped life here. The islands sit along one of the richest cod fishing grounds in the world. Each winter, enormous numbers of Arctic cod migrate south from the Barents Sea, creating a fish season that has sustained local communities since the time of the Vikings. During this season, thousands of wooden racks appear along the coastline, used for drying fish in the cold Arctic air. These rounds of drying cod, known as stockfish, have been exported from Norway for centuries and remain an important part of the region's cultural heritage. Now, nature, however, remains the true star of the Lofoten Islands. In summer, the region experiences the magical phenomenon of the midnight sun, when the sun never truly sets below the horizon. For weeks, golden sunlight illuminates the mountains and sea even in the middle of the night, creating a dreamlike atmosphere unlikely anywhere else on Earth. In winter, the sky often comes alive with the shimmering colors of the Aurora Borealis. Waves of green and violet light dance across the Arctic sky, reflecting in the calm waters below. For visitors lucky enough to witness it, the experience feels almost magical, whether seen under the midnight or sun beneath the glowing northern lights. The Lofoten Islands reveal a side of Norway that is both quiet and deeply peaceful. It is the place where nature still feels powerful and untouched, the reminder of how beautiful the world can be when landscapes remain connected to the rhythms of the sea and the sky. And in the far north of Norway, few places capture that harmony between the remarkable Lofoten Islands. Part 4. Bergen. On the western coast of Norway, surrounded by mountains and deep blue fjords, lies the historic city of Bergen. Often called the gateway to the fjords, Bergen has served for centuries as one of the Norway's most important cultural and maritime centers. Founded in the year 1907 by Olaf Kyrre, Bergen quickly grew into a thriving trade hub. During the Middle Ages, it became one of the key cities of the Hanseatic League, a powerful network of merchants, guilds that dominate the trade across the northern Europe. Because of this history, Bergen developed a unique cultural identity, one that blends Norwegian traditions with influences from across Europe. The city's most famous historic district between is Bergen, a UNESCO World Heritage Site lined with colorful wooden buildings that date back hundreds of years. These narrow merchants' houses once served as warehouses and offices for Arctic traders who control the lucrative stockfish trade. Walking through Bergen today feels like traveling back in time. The wooden alleywalks create crack underfoot, old beams lean slightly with age, and small artisan shops now occupy spaces where merchants once stored dried cod destined for markets across Europe. The vibrant red, yellow, and orange buildings reflect the harbor, where waters have become one of the most iconic images of Norway. Yet, Bergen is not only about history. The city also famous for its dramatic natural surroundings. Often referred to as City of Seven Mountains, Bergen is encircled by a chain of peaks that rise steeply from the coastline. One of the most popular ways to experience these views is by taking the Florbanen funicular on the top Mount Florian. From the summit, visitors are rewarded with the sweeping panoramas of the city's red rooftop, winding fjords and distant islands scattered down the North Sea. On clear days, the view feels almost endless. Another defining feature of Bergen is its weather. The city is famous for receiving more rainfall than almost anywhere else in Europe. Gentle mists and drifting clouds frequently roll over the surrounding mountains, giving Bergen a mysterious and atmospheric charm. Rather than avoiding the rain, locals have learned to embrace it. Colorful umbrellas line the streets, cafes glow warmly in the gray afternoon light, and the harbor takes on a reflective beauty that photographers adore. Bergen is also a vibrant cultural center. It is the birthplace of legendary composer Edvard Grieg, whose music was deeply inspired by the landscapes and folklore of Norway. Today, visitors can explore his former home at Trolltunga, just outside the city. Through its music, architecture, and seafaring traditions, Bergen tells the story of Norway's connection into the wider world. But perhaps what makes this city the most special is the way it balances history and nature. Wooden houses from the medieval era stand beneath towering mountains, while fishing boats and modern ships share the same harbor waters. In Bergen, the past is never far away. And from this historic coastal city, the dramatic landscape of Norway Fjords begin their unforgettable journey inland. Part 5. Trolltunga. High above the deep blue waters of the western Norway stands one of the most dramatic rock formation in the world, Trolltunga. Its name translates to the Trolltung, a fitting description for the long, narrow rock ledge that just horizontally out of the cliff nearly 700 meters above the lake below. Suspended over the vast landscapes, Trolltunga has become one of the Norway's most iconic natural landmarks and one of the most breathtaking viewpoints anywhere in Scandinavia. The rock itself was formed during the last ice age. Thousands of years ago, powerful glaciers covered much of Norway, and these massive rivers of ice slowly moved through the valleys. They carved deep fjords and dramatic cliffs into the landscape. Where the glaciers eventually melted, they left behind extraordinary formations like Trolltunga, a natural platform extending into open space. Today, reaching this spectacular viewpoint requires determination. The hike to Trolltunga begins near the small town of Odda, located along the beautiful Geirangerfjord Fjord region. From the trailhead, hikers must travel around 27 kilometers round trip through the rugged mountain terrain. The journey can take between 8 or 12 hours. Along the road, the scenery constantly changes. Rocky plateaus stretch toward the horizon, alpine lakes mirror the sky, and snow patches sometimes remain even in summer. In the distance, waterfalls plunge down steep cliffs into valleys far below. Despite the challenging distance, thousands of visitors make the journey each year. Part of the attraction lies in the sense of adventure. The trail gradually climbs higher and higher into Norway's wide mountain landscape, creating the feeling of entering a remote and untouched world. Unlike crowded urban viewpoints, Trolltunga feels raw and elemental. When hikers finally reach the edge, the reward is unforgettable. The rock ledge extends out over Ringedorsvatnet, a deep glacial lake surrounded by towering cliffs standing in the tip of Trolltunga, offer a panoramic view of Norway's vast wilderness, mountains stretching endlessly across the horizon, valleys carved by ancient ice, and water shimmering far below. For many visitors, stepping onto the rock itself is both thrilling and humbling. The ledge appears almost impossibly suspended in the air, creating one of the most photographed locations in the world. Yet, despite its name, there are no railings or artificial barriers. Nature remains completely untouched. This raw authenticity is part of what makes Trolltunga so powerful. It represents the spirit of Norway, a country where landscapes are not simply admired from the distance. It represents the spirit of Norway, a country where landscapes are not simply admired from a distance, but experienced directly. Here, adventure and nature exist side by side, inviting people to explore the extraordinary terrain shaped by glaciers, mountains, and time. And for those who are willing to make the long journey across the mountain plateau, the Trolltunga offers a view that feels truly beyond imagination. Part 6. Geirangerfjord. Among the many breathtaking landscapes of Norway, few are as iconic or as majestic as Geirangerfjord. Carved by glaciers over millions of years, this dramatic fjord stretches deep into the mountains of western Norway, creating one of the most beautiful natural environments in the world. In recognition of its extraordinary scenery, Geirangerfjord was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2005. Towering cliffs, emerald waters, and cascading waterfalls combine to form a landscape that feels almost mythical. The fjord itself extends about 15 kilometers inland from the Store Fjord, with steep mountain walls rising as high as 1,400 meters on either side. From the water's surface, the cliffs appear almost vertical, giving the impression that the mountains plunge directly into the sea. Waterfalls pour down these towering walls in the spectacular fashion. One of the most famous is the legendary Seven Sisters water. According to local folklore, the seven narrow stream represents seven sisters dancing gracefully down the mountainside. Across the fjords lies another waterfall known as the Sweeter, said to symbolize a president admired courting the sister from afar. These poetic legends reflect the deep connection Norwegians feel with the landscapes around them. Despite the steep terrain, small farms have existed along the fjord cliffs for centuries. In places that seem almost impossible to reach, farmers once cultivated small patches of land and raised livestock on narrow mountain ledges. On historic example like Skagefa, which sits high above the fjord and offers one of the most spectacular views in Norway. Today, most of these remote farms have been untouched or abandoned, but they remain powerful reminders of resilience and determination of people who once lived here. Visitors experience Geirangerfjord Fjord in many different ways. Some arrive by boat, slowly cruising down through the calm waters while gazing up at the towering cliffs. Others explore by car, allowing winding mountain roads that reveal incredible views points overlooking the fjord. One of the most famous viewpoints is Dasnipa, where visitors can stand over 1,500 meters above sea level and look down upon the entire fjord system. From this vantage point, the landscape unfolds like a living painting. Deep blue water cutting through green mountains under an even ever-changing Nordic sky. The nearby village is Geiranger, serves as a small gateway to the fjord. Despite its size, it welcomes travelers from around the world who come to witness the incredible beauty of this natural wonder. Yet, even with its growing popularity, Geirangerfjord retains a sense of calm and timelessness. Mist often drifts across the mountains in the early morning. Waterfalls echoes through the valley, and the quiet waters reflect the surrounding cliffs like a mirror. In moments like this, it becomes clearly why Norway's fjords are considered among the greatest natural landscapes on Earth, and why Geirangerfjord stands proudly as one of the most magnificent examples. Part 7. Tromso and the Northern Lights. Far above the Arctic Circle in northern Norway lies the vibrant city of Tromso, often called the gateway to the Arctic. Surrounded by snow-covered mountains, deep fjords, and icy seas, Tromso has long served as one of the most important centers for Arctic exploration and culture. Despite its northern location, Tromso is a lively and modern city filled with museums, cafes, and a thriving student population. Yet, what truly draws visitors from around the world is the opportunity to witness one of nature's most magical phenomena, the Aurora Borealis. Also known as the Northern Lights, this extraordinary display of color illuminates the Arctic sky during the long winter nights. The science behind the aurora is both fascinating and beautiful. Charged particles from the sun travel through the space and collide with Earth's magnetic field. When these particles interact with gases in the upper atmosphere, they release energy from the form glowing light. The result is a shifting curtain of green, purple, and sometimes pink light dancing across the sky. Because Tromso sits directly beneath the auroral oval, the region where northern lights activity is strongest, it is considered one of the best places in the world to observe this natural wonder. During winter, darkness falls early in Tromso. By late afternoon, the sky often turns deep blue, and if conditions are clear, these aurora may begin to appear above the mountains and fjords surrounding the sea. For many visitors, seeing the northern lights for the first time is an unforgettable moment. The light moves silently across the sky, sometimes appearing as gentle waves, other times swirling like cosmic ribbons. reflected in a snowy landscapes of calm Arctic waters. The spectacle creates an atmosphere that feels almost otherworldly. But Tromso offers more than just nighttime magic. During the summer months, the city experiences the remarkable phenomenon known as midnight sun. For weeks, the sun never dips below the horizon, bathing the landscape in golden light and even at midnight. This endless daylight transforms the rhythm of life in the Arctic. People hike through the mountains late at night, boats glide across the fjords under a glowing sky, and the city itself, seems to remain awake around the clock. Tromso also carries an important historical legacy. In the early 20th century, it is served as a major departure point for Arctic expeditions led by explorers such as Roald Amundsen, who famously became the first person to reach the South Pole. Today, museums throughout the city preserve the story of this daring journey into the polar wilderness. Perhaps the most recognizable landmark in Tromso is a striking Arctic cathedral, whose triangular structure resembles an iceberg rising toward the Arctic sky. Illuminated at night, it has become a symbol of the city's unique blend of modern design and natural inspiration. In Tromso, nature and culture coexist in remarkably harmony way. Whether watching the northern light ripple across the winter sky or experiencing the endless daylight of the midnight sun, visitors discover that life in the Arctic holds a special kind of beauty, one shaped by the rhythms of the cosmos and the resilience of those who call the far north home. Part 8. Lofoten Islands. Far above the Arctic Circle, rising dramatically from the cold waters of the Norwegian Sea, lies one of the most spectacular island chains in Norway, the Lofoten Islands. Known for the jagged mountain peaks, white sandy beaches, and traditional fishing villages, the Lofoten Islands are often considered one of the most beautiful coastal landscapes on Earth. Despite their location far north the Arctic Circle, the islands experiences a surprisingly mild climate thanks to the warm waters of the Gulf Stream. This unique combination of ocean currents and dramatic geology has created an environment unlikely anywhere else in the world. Towering granite mountains rise almost directly from the sea, their sharp peaks forming a striking contrast against the deep blue Arctic waters. Between these mountains lie a small villages where colorful wooden houses stand on stilts and along the shoreline. One of the most iconic of these villages is Reen, often described as one of the most picturesque communities in Scandinavia. Red fishing cabins known as robur line the harbor, backstepped by mountains that reflected in the calm fjord water. For centuries, fishing has been the lifeblood of the Lofoten Islands. Each winter, vast numbers of Atlantic cod migrate from the Barents Sea to spawn the warmer coastal waters surrounding this island. This season, event created one of the largest cod fishers in the world and had supported local communities for more than 1,000 years. During the fishing season, wooden rafts filled with drying cod can still be seen along the coast. The dried fish, known as stockfish, has been exported from Norway to market across Europe for centuries. Beyond fishing traditions, the Lofoten Islands also known for their extraordinary and natural beauty. In summer, the midnight sun bathes the island in golden light for nearly 24 hours a day. Mountains glow softly above the sea even at night, creating an atmosphere that feels almost surreal. In winter, the long Arctic nights bring a different spectacle. The dancing colors of the Aurora Borealis. Against the dark sky and snow-covered peaks, northern lights transform the islands into a glowing Arctic dreamscape. Outdoor adventures thrive here as well. Visitors come here to hike along the narrow mountain trails, kayak through quiet fjords, or simply wander along remote beaches where turquoise water meets bright white sand. one of the most famous beaches, Hogland Beach, where Arctic landscape resembles a tropical paradise except for the cool northern air. Small communities remain deeply connected to the sea, the mountains, the tradition, and have endured for generations. Here, in this remote of the corner Norway, nature dominates the horizon, and every sunrise of the midnight sky reminds visitors of how powerful and beautiful the Arctic world can be. Part 9. Norwegian Culture and Viking Heritage. Beyond its breathtaking landscapes, Norway carries a deep cultural heritage shaped by centuries for seafaring, exploration, and resilience. At the heart of this identity lies the legendary era of the Viking Age, where Norse warriors and traders traveled across the vast oceans, leaving a lasting imprint on European history. Beginning in the late 8th century, Viking sailors set out from the rugged coast of the Scandinavia remarkable wooden ships. These vessels, known as Viking longships, were indeed engineering marvels of their time. Long, narrow, and flexible, they were designed to move swiftly across both open seas and shallow rivers. With these ships, Norse explorers traveled farther than many people of their era could imagine. They reached the British Isles, across the rivers of Eastern Europe, and even sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to the Iceland, Greenland, and North America centuries before Columbus. One of the most famous explorers of this time was Leif Erikson, who is believed to have reached the coast of North America around the year 1000. While Viking warriors are often remembered for their raids and battles, they were also skilled traders, farmers, and craftsmen. Their communities were built around strong traditions, storytelling, and deep respect for nature. Much of what we know about their beliefs comes from Norse mythology. Stories of gods like Odin, Thor, or Loki formed the foundation of a rich mythological world filled with giants, magical creatures, and epic battles between cosmic forces. These myths were passed down orally from generations before being recorded in medieval texts such as the Poetic Edda. Even today, the Viking legacy remains visible throughout Norway. Archaeological discoveries have revealed remarkable burial ships, weapons, and artifacts that help historians understand the lives of these early seafarers. One of the most famous discoveries is the Osberg ship, an extraordinary, well-preserved vessel found in a burial mound in 1904. The ship and its intricate carving demonstrate the advanced craftsmanship of Viking culture. Modern Norway embraces this heritage with pride. Museums, festivals, and historical sites across the country celebrate the stories of the Viking world while also exploring their true history beyond the myths and conquest. Through research and preservation, Norway continues to uncover the fascinating legacy of the people who once sailed its fjords and oceans. Today, Viking heritage stands not just as a reminder of the past, but as an important part of Norway's cultural identity, connecting modern Norwegians with the explorers, storytellers, and adventurers who helped shape their nation. Part 10. Conclusion. The spirit of Norway. From dramatic fjords to Arctic skies, Norway is a land where nature landscape both the landscape and the identity of its people. Across mountains, islands, and deep valleys, the country offers a journey through some of the most powerful scenery on Earth. Cities such as Oslo and Bergen reveal a nation that blends modern innovation with deep historical roots. Colorful harbors, historical architecture, and thriving cultural life show how Norway has grown while still honoring its past. Beyond these cities, the true magic of Norway unfolds in its extraordinary natural landscape. The country's famous fjords, including Geirangerfjord, cut deep into the mountains, forming towering cliffs and waterfalls that seem almost unreal in their beauty. Far to the north, places like Lofoten Islands reveal a wide Arctic world where jagged peaks rise from the sea. Even the sky itself becomes part of the experience. During winter, the dancing colors of Aurora Borealis illuminate the darkness above the northern cities such as Tromso. In summer, the midnight sun transforms the Arctic landscape with endless daylight. These natural power wonders are not simply attractions, they are part of everyday life for those who live here. Norway's cultural identity is equally shaped by its remarkable history. The spirit of exploration that once drove Viking sailors across the oceans during the Viking Age still echoes in the country's tradition and values today. Modern Norway has become a society known for its high quality of life, respect for nature, and commitment to sustainability. Yet, even with its modern achievements, the country remains deeply connected to the landscapes that have defined it for thousands of years: mountain, fjords, forest, and sea. Together, they create a place where nature feels vast and timeless, reminding visitors how small we are within the greater world. In the end, Norway is not just a destination, it is an experience, a place where history, culture, and wilderness meet in extraordinary harmony, leaving lasting impression on anyone who journeys through this remarkable northern land.